Shift the gears with DD Speed Shop, we're back again with tales from the garage where the hot rods reign. Dan and Mur, they're the wrench-turning crew with Danny by their side, the podcast begins. They're talking classic hot rods and new cars too, life hacks and lifestyle and a little YouTube. It's DD Speed Shop, the podcast!
Dan here, DD Speed Shop with Mur and Danielle, driving around in the Nomad. You know, last time people kept asking me, I saw it a few times in the comments, why do I keep putting the car in neutral at red lights? I kind of thought that's what neutral was for.
Yeah.
You're coming to a red light and you put it in neutral, is that wrong?
No, the only thing sitting on the clutch is it puts wear on the release bearing, right? Because if you're sitting in gear, that's
so
what
we're
wears
trying to, we can't wear this thing out.
No.
Let's be honest, because we barely drive the thing.
No, I mean, I always just sit with it in neutral because I don't like to have my foot on the clutch. And I mean, depending what the car is, sometimes it's ugly if it's in some big meaty clutch, but for this you could do either. Lord knows the size 12s weigh as much as the clutch anyway.
They're 13 wides, but yes.
13 wides?
Yeah. And then
I bet you can wear the boxes on 15s.
And at the end of the day, if it breaks, I'll just fix it.
Yeah.
So, a ripe topic for me. So I've said, wow, every car I seem to buy, I always say, wow, look how nice this thing is, look how good it is, whatever. And without fail, people in the comments go, your idea of a nice car is not their idea of a nice car for some reason. Which is understandable. And, you know, it's one of those catch-22 situations. Oh, we're going to make the red light here.
That's the photo radar one.
It's
too.
pink. It was pink.
Hard yellow.
It was pink. Anyway, so I guess my version of a nice car is clearly different than other people's version of a nice car. Now, I just play an idiot on TV. I'm actually a decently smart individual sometimes. So, anyway, if I just went out and bought nice cars, like $30,000 cars, let's say, really not a whole lot of video content to make out of that.
Not at all.
You know? So it's not a very good business plan to just go buy nice cars. Then I have all my money tied up in a car that we just drive around in, and I can't make videos, and I can't complain about it, and I can't do it wrong. You know, like the whole...
People can't criticize.
Yeah.
More than just the once. Yeah.
Really?
Wow.
So, yeah, that's what you mean. So when I'm saying the car is mint or really good or whatever, I'm talking about it's not patched together, or it's like structural things or stuff that's like, I don't want to say a big deal to fix, because I feel like I do fix a lot of things that are, most people think are a pretty big deal.
But you find one that somebody else has taken care of, and then something's happened, and then you're, putting it back on the road, and it's unique.
A starting point car.
Starting point, exactly. So, I mean, like Danny's car's a perfect example. That Caprice, we bought that, and I mean, brought it home, and that thing was, that's a daily driver. So I think I brought it home. We made 2 or 3 videos out of it. I did a brake job on it, the exhaust. And we had to mess with the distributor because that was
that was a good example where clearly you went out and looked at it, and you could tell by looking at it that somebody had taken care of it. You knew the whole story behind it because you happened to know the guy, but even just walking up to it, nice car, solid, nice inside, had a weird problem that nobody where it was could fix, and knowing the car what it is, like, it just can't be anything weird. If you had a 2019 Mercedes that had an intermittent no-start problem, that's a problem. You'd have some issues because there's 1,000,001 things, and there's people that take months to try and fix things and still never do. People eventually get annoyed with the thing, or in the States they have the lemon law where you can they give you your money back and you start again because they just aren't willing to put up with it. But a car like that, definitely the fellow that had it was frustrated. Like, he got to the point where he couldn't trust it, so he couldn't drive it. He had to move on. And fortunately, you were the recipient of it, and it's been a great car for Danny.
Well,
You know?
yeah.
And look how frustrated you guys initially were when you were trying to chase that rabbit around, right? Like, it wasn't just a, I know it's this. It was, well, we have to try this, and we have to try this, and we have to try this. And if you don't have that knowledge or the time to kind of fickle around with it, like, the cost just instantly keeps going up and up and up.
Yeah, and that one actually was frustrating for the exact reason that you need, a good car is bad on YouTube. That was terrible content.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to watch me change a computer, doesn't fix it. Do a tune-up, doesn't fix it. Like, they want to see the smoking gun, which I think there was some satisfaction. Go, like, here's a broken distributor in half.
Yeah.
And I ordered one. But the problem is that we were chasing our tails and,
Yeah,
doing,
that was definitely a weird one.
yeah, but doing basic, OBD1, watching the engine light flash, trying to figure out what it was, and it wouldn't give anything. Well, you can't watch a video about that.
Yeah.
And that car was so good that it was almost worked against us. And that being said, that car now, that was been almost a year ago. Danny's been driving it every day to work. It's had an oil change and a set of tires changed on it, and that's it. So, in that case, the 3 videos didn't really pay much for the car. That was just, it is what it is. The value in that car is if we ever sell it. But, whatever. So I like to buy stuff very cheap and then do videos on it, and then people watch.
Well, I find it somewhat interesting that in the old days, like say the 40s, people would change their car because the engine was no good. Like in 1940, 100,000 miles was all the engine you would ever get.
Yeah.
That's it. And as things moved on, now 150, 200,000 miles is really, if the car's maintained, always if the car is maintained, it's like nothing. And now we're moving into like 2023 and 24. You have things, brand new Toyotas, they're having trouble because the engines are failing. And there's a few cars like that, which to me is just absolutely unbelievable that you should have engine troubles in 2024. That's unbelievable. And they have things that, and they track it down to like the electronic machine that puts the silicone on the oil pans, put on just a tad too much, and then it went into the oil pan, and then it plugged the oil screen, and then the engine went, and different weird sort of things like that you didn't have back in those days. But it's interesting that it's come full circle that you might find a car that's 5 years old, so off warranty, and the engine blows up because of something like that, and the difference being really expensive to rebuild when you gotta find one from a wrecker or something like that.
Well, but there's something said for that. Realistically, the motor that would have come in this car would have been almost the same as the motor that's currently in Danny's car, and was in like my 1995 or whatever it is, or 99 even, the small block Chevy, before they kind of discontinued and went to the LS motor. So, when you're talking about rebuilding it and all that, talk about tried, tested, and true. Yeah. Like how many small block Chevys have been made, and how many millions or billions of miles are on small blocks.
But again, coming back to full circle, look at the whole camshaft thing. Yes. Like when you went through 2 camshafts, I still can't believe that, and it's all over the internet. And a tried and true product that they've made worse, which is astounding. Like the Heinz ketchup people don't make bad ketchup; they just don't. But
well, and that's just it, right? But whatever they cheaped out or whoever happened, and it is what it is. Yeah. But now you just go with roller stuff. I think what happened there though is the small block Chevy evolved to a roller kind of style thing. So those old flat tap bits are just no longer used, and it's the aftermarket making it, which is of course it's like minimum code when people talk about for building a house. It's minimum code. It's the cheapest way you can get away with it. Yeah. So that's how it is for I assume most aftermarket parts, camshafts. What's the cheapest way we can make it?
Yeah. General Motors doesn't want to have a chance of something going wrong with 5 million Chevy Impalas. Yeah. But the guy that now does the camshaft tooling knows that the market, even though it's very, very common, it's going down. Not a lot of people are rebuilding 350 Chevys anymore. So you know,
Well, and for the
there you
most
go.
part, I mean, I gotta say, I think the aftermarket, it's a crapshoot as to who takes care of you.
Yeah.
And so I mean, in the video where I ground the Edelbrock off the intake,
Yes.
people were a little angry about it. And you know what? I mean, so my thing is, it was a comp cam that failed. My fault. That's fine. Let's get that out of the way. Everyone likes to blame the installer, and that's fine. And went through and all that stuff. But even that, you call. I called comp, which is Edelbrock, and I talked to the guy, and he literally just sent me an email. Didn't even respond, saying, "Oh, here is the break-in procedure," or whatever it may be. He wouldn't. I said, like, here's the video. Like, here's what I did. Could you watch it and tell me what I did wrong? Zero care. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about them. Versus, I sent Summit the same email.
Yeah.
They just sent me a new one. There wasn't a whole lot of communication, but hey, you know what? It was bad. Here's a new one. And then, fast forward a year or whatever it was when all that stuff went with Holly, where that sniper clearly failed. Again, let's say it's my fault. They stood tall and they're like, this guy's going on a power tour. He spent a bunch of money with us, and they just overnighted me a carburetor and an intake manifold, and I was running, and we made power tour. So again, it's all about kind of how I think the customer service for me. I think the parts are all probably about the same when it comes to quality. But anyway, that's why I'm angry at comp cams. But I still run their TCI shifters, which is in the Edelbrock envelope or umbrella, because they are the cheapest.
Well, unfortunately, that's the way it is. It's pretty hard to boycott one company now because they're probably owned by some giant parent company that you get them from anyway.
And that being said, I didn't even boycott them. It's just, if there's an option, I mean, the Edelbrock was the only one, so I ground the thing off so I felt better. I just put an Edelbrock carburetor on that 47 Chevrolet to get it running, because that's what was available used. I mean, it is what it is. It's just, you have your, if you like Shell gas, every now and again you got to go to Co-op or whatever.
Yeah. But it is annoying when something brand new can be made whirling, because I mean, clearly there's just no excuse for it. I guess
that's an excuse. The bottom line.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's just unfortunately the way of the world now, and I don't know. It's just things you have to come to grips with. It used to be, you buy a brand new one so you don't have trouble, and people would make fun of you if you put something used on. Well, sometimes maybe the used one might be better than the new one.
Like I went through the front end of this Nomad, and it was all still tight, and it had been changed at some point, because it was like bolt-in ball joints. Well, I would rather have a 40-year-old ball joint that has no play in it than anything brand new. I think it'll you grease it and it'll last the life of the vehicle that I have it. Okay, which takes us to our next topic, Car Guy Karma. On today's segment of Car Guy Karma. So I experienced some less than, I try and always put out positive vibes in the car community. Now, some people might say I'm a weasel and all these things, and we're doing the YouTube videos for money and all that, which we clearly are. But it's because I love you. No, anyways. At the end of the day, it's just you try and be a reasonable individual. And I mean, if I'm buying stuff, if I'm selling stuff, I'm trying to be a man of my word. The only thing that's changed recently that I just brought in this last year is that I've been taking deposits. If you can't come up with the money, I can't just do like a handshake deal. If you're not serious about it, I need deposit down with a date of when you're going to have the money by, and if we can't have that, then we don't carry on. But I also think that's just fair. So anyway, I try and put good karma out there, and I usually get it back for the most part. Now, that being said, that 55 Chevy, so we've talked about it a few times, people have been asking nonstop, the deal fell through, which was fine, and I have no hard feelings about it. But ultimately, I was like, okay, well, this is my turn, but Car Guy Karma is going to come my way. So now we can talk about it, because this is coming out after the last video, but the 57 Chevy came up. So just by fluke, I mean, obviously the guy didn't even know that, but a fine gentleman sent us a message, actually Danny a message on Facebook. Side note, if you're talking to us on Facebook, you're probably talking to Danielle pretending to be me. So I'm in the garage screwing around, and I come in, Danny goes, I've been pretending to be you. There's a guy who's got a 57 Chevrolet for sale. Are you interested? I said, of course. So the story is, we kind of explained it, I guess, in the video, but the guy had bought the car many years ago, and didn't really work out, or life happens. He's been all over Canada working, and it was cheap, 4-door 57 Chevy in relatively good shape, like right up.
Seen the video by now.
Yeah, right up the DD's Beach Shop alley. And that's one of those things where it's just, if you put good out, stuff like that will be made whole. It's like, you know, that episode of Seinfeld where Jerry always breaks even, and he just like Elaine throws a $20 bill out the window and he finds it in his shirt pocket or something.
Yeah.
I'm a believer in that. If you put it out, you win. And then I'll show you a picture right away here for the next segment after we stop and get some fuel here a bit. But I got another car today. So essentially, I've spent less money than I would have before on that 55. I've ended up with 2 separate cars, and all the parts I previously bought to work on cars will fit on them. Car guy karma.
There you go.
So you got to make sure you're a good guy out there, Mur.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you know, things have changed. I mean, you got lucky. You came out good, I think. But there's times. I mean, for many years, if I sold the car and the guy goes, well, you know, I've got $100 now, and I'll come back with this and that, and I just say, you know what, keep your 100. You're good for it. You know, I trust you. You'll come back, and I never got screwed. You know,
But
the guy
said, you said that story when you had that AMX.
Yeah, well, that was a
Greasy tow truck driver.
Yeah, that was a commercial theft, which had
Commercial. Okay.
nothing to do with a one-man person. That was, you know, I bought a car from an auction that was bank repossession, who knows what, and I bought it. It was 68 AMX, and it had twin 4 barrels on it, and so I paid for it. The tow truck got it the next day, and when it arrived, the intake manifold and all the carburetors were gone, and nobody knew what happened. And that was it. That was in the market buying a new one. That's what I did. But
So you looked at the car. It was at the auction. Like, it was an in-person auction. I mean, it must have been. I guess there was no internet way back then.
yeah, well, it was an auction house. And it was going to go for auction, but I bought it before it went to auction. So I was just dealing with, you know, a company, but it was a sleazy company.
Well, how can they even do that? I thought once it goes for auction, you're not allowed to. I guess if they're breaking that deal already.
The same way they took the carburetor and manifold.
Yeah. Well, also you got to remember, I was, you know, relatively young in my days of dealing with stuff like that, and I mean, what are you going to do? You know, you're going to try and get a lawyer to try and go after these. You know, it was one of those things. You just take your lumps.
You saw it, you looked at it, you drove it, and everything.
No, it didn't run. It was just in a towing auction yard. Yeah.
So you went and looked at it, made a deal with the guy, bought it that day.
Yeah.
And then they dropped it off, or what?
Well, it wasn't. They didn't have a tow truck. They had a tow truck.
Oh, yeah.
You know, guy. They said, I have a guy. You know, whatever. So that's fine. But when it got there, it was missing.
Was that the next day that they dropped it off, or was it
probably a couple of days? I think is what it was.
I remember when we got this Nomad, that was one of your concerns, was you wanted it
out of there.
Same day.
Yeah.
Well,
nothing going missing out of it.
And that is reality. I mean, unfortunately for almost anything, I mean, today I went and looked at that car. I was, you know, within a half hour of making the deal, it was out of there.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's unfortunate. That's what you got to do, because it's, you know, like the problem was I bought the car on a Friday.
Oh yeah.
And then it was the weekend, and then Monday I got it, and that's a lot of water under the bridge in those 3 days. And I didn't do it. I don't know. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is.
Just the way it is. I mean, because even that one, we looked at this car, we looked at it, and it was a week before the auction even took place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was even thinking, well, geez, I mean, anybody who knows, I mean, that this door trim you got your hand on is $250, and it's 2 screws.
Yeah.
So anybody could, you know, if you were that kind of guy, you could take just a few things. I mean, you could have made $1,000 off this car, and what am I going to do?
But what I was worried about with this car when we saw it is somebody else would see it and they would just track down the guy who's sort of in charge and who, you know, and just start throwing money around, because that, you know, when it comes to auction, it was going to go for money, and you don't know what the other guy in the end.
I will say though, I mean, this was bought through the Dr. Hook auction, which is the least sleazy, I actually mean with love, but they're the guys. I don't think they would screw around over it.
And they were also the ones that cut the original deal when it was not to the
But that's because they wanted the money.
Yeah.
Still, they
Yeah, but
they did show some integrity there.
Yeah, but somebody did something and the hood got bent and all that. You can't.
Well, you can't control it.
No. When you come up with when you're dealing with stuff like that, it's not black and white. It's not like you're buying a brand new thing from the Sears store and you get it and there's a problem and that's it. When you're dealing with all these unique situations, you just have to take your lumps, knowing that you don't know it's yours until it's sitting in your driveway. And that's
being said, Mur, so I stopped listening after you said Sears store because they've been out of business.
Well, in the American, they've not. And most of your people are in the USA. So.
Sears is still a thing in the U.S.?
Yeah.
They can still buy Craftsman tools.
As far as I know,
Sears.
yeah. Well, yeah. Because you can still buy Craftsman tools here now, but they're...
from Lowe's.
Yeah, but they're all
not
different.
The same.
Oh, they're all different.
They're not Craftsman.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, there you go. You guys learned something new. Well, well, they'll let us know in the
We'll
comments.
find it. Yeah, somebody will let us know.
It'll show your age or maybe you're a genius.
Yeah.
That's 21 minutes. We're going to try and preemptively stop before the camera overheats.
Yeah.
So we'll take a minute. We have an ice pack.
Yeah.
So Dani can
and I brought the other one.
ice pack the camera.
We'll see if it
we
works.
can carry on. We're learning.
So talk to the go-to people and say...
The GoPro people.
And say, do they have a temperature gauge?
The GoPro are the greasy tow truck drivers of the camera world, but I keep buying them because everything else is junk.
Yeah.
And we appreciate all tow truck drivers that they do. It's a very dangerous job.
I am a fellow tow truck driver.
That's right.
Oh,
just move over. Okay, hot start. Put a hot rod. So it's a little hot. Today's the hottest day actually. This thing's been out yet, so it's kind of learning. This is rattling. So now, we're going to talk about buying greasy used cars. And so I bought today. I didn't even show Mur.
Didn't even tell me.
Do you want me to call you first thing in the morning?
Of course.
It was 7:30.
You can text me.
So this is what I ended up with. $2,500 well spent.
Uh-huh.
Huh?
Looks
car.
Looks pretty nice.
So anyways, that is an upcoming video. Oh god, my hair. For you people. Anyway. So now, that brings us to the topic of buying crappy used cars and how to quote unquote get a good deal.
I feel like we talk about how to sell it a lot. We don't talk a lot about how to buy.
Well, we've been doing a lot of selling lately.
Yeah.
And
shouldn't be doing a lot of buying, but away she goes.
I bought 3 cars. I've sold 10, I've bought 3. And the total purchase price of all of them is less than $6,000. And there'll be some fun cars and some cars I've wanted for a while. And when a deal pops up, and you just have to kind of go with it. And that's just the way it is.
And that's something that, as you've learned a couple of years ago, to always have something in your back pocket. Because when you started the YouTube system, it was very frustrating on you because nobody works as hard, as fast as you. And when you want your parts, yesterday would have been just about fine, but not 2 weeks from now.
Well, and that's just it. So we're doing these daily videos now, which, I mean, it's really, I don't know, I'm out there working every day anyways, so it's not the end of the world. But before, when you only had one car and you're waiting on a quarter panel or a whatever, I mean, I would say every floor pan I've ever bought now, those full floors, I've picked them up from Reg Walker, and they are in the car that day or the next. Like, they go out of the truck into the car. It's not like they're sitting around and waiting and stuff. So multiple cars has made my life easier. So you're always got to be looking. And I mean, yes, now I'm
having the other space. That made the big difference.
Well, this guy likes it, giving the old mid sign. But man, people are all over the place today. Anyway, and the red light. So this morning, wake up for my morning pee, 7:30. Of course, I'm on Facebook when I go back to bed. And anyway, car pops up, and it was $300 originally on the ad. I'm like, scam. I click on it, and it was $300 in the ad, but then it said $3,000 at the bottom. Okay, the guy missed whatever. So I sent a message just saying, and of course, like Facebook, so you can see kind of where it is about, and it was just at the end of Route 90, so basically where we are now. And it was close-ish to home, 20 minutes from home, and you click on the guy's name, looked like a respectable gentleman, which is always nice. So sent him a message saying, hey, you got the car for sale? Yeah. So basically all I asked, does it have a title? Yeah. And I go, okay. And then he says, oh, there's a problem with the price, because he obviously was $300. Well, then while I'm texting him, it said, has changed the price to $2,500. Well, then he changed the price to $3,000. So I sent him, and I said, so is it $2,500 or is it $3,000? He's like, oh, you saw that. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, I'll honor $2,500. I said, great. So then I just said, okay, well, when are you available? And he's like, well, you know, this and that. I said, you know, I'm just going to take a gamble. It's a car I want. It is what it is. I said, I'll just shoot you $500. I'll pay your asking price. I'll shoot you a $500 deposit. So I shot him $500 at 7:30 this morning. Gamble, which was an absolute gamble. You could absolutely lose money that way.
That's
and I
a real roll of the dice.
I don't recommend people doing that, but this thing's not happy that it's hot sitting there. It needs to be moving a little. So it was what it was, and I, rolled the dice, gambled my hard-earned $500, but I was pretty confident. So I did that, and that was it. So.
And after that, though, so you said to him, everything happened within 10 minutes or whatever. And then when you were making arrangements to meet with him, he was saying that he'd already had 10 or 15 other people say they would take the car.
Well, people are saying, I'll pay the $3,000, I'll pay you $3,500, whatever it is. But
you had already sent him your deposit.
He had no idea who I was. He didn't watch the channel or anything, so there's no favoritism there. It was just, he was an honest guy, just kind of like you said,
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, great. And he says, I'm just down here, my business, whatever. And I said, okay. So I went down there at 9:00, and ready to go. But that is the old deal of the day, having a few bucks, like you said, at home in a shoebox, ready to go, just in case, because you never know when you're going to need a few bucks. You can't always go to the bank or whatever. I mean, $2,500 is not the end of the world to come up with, but it kind of is what it is. So there you go. But no, it all kind of worked out. So we had the tow truck all loaded up and ready to go. Did I short the guy? Did he count the money?
I don't know if he counted it or not.
So,
you think you shorted him?
I'm just thinking about that right now. I gave him...
We gave him the whole pile.
Oh no, I had $500. I could only get $1,500 out of the bank.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
He transferred him $500.
Yeah.
No, but I had $500. I was just thinking there. I was like, oh, did I screw that guy out of $500? That's very not good karma. I have to go pay him more. But anyway, so it worked out. But we had to go down there, and the thing was sitting in a parking lot dead. Of course, story of my life. It had 3 flat tires. So again, have some Chevy rims with decent tires. They don't have to be the best or nothing. For a long time, actually, I don't know if I might try and buy them back from the guy who got the 57 hardtop, but I had those rally wheels.
Yeah.
And they had a set of trailer tires on them.
Yeah.
And I've used those to tow, an unbelievable amount of things. I keep looking for it. I haven't found them used yet. But Summit sells them now. You can get steel wheels and they're dual drilled.
Oh, yeah.
Ford and Chevy.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
handy.
To get a pair of those with a set of, 195 or 205 but tall-ish tires, and they go on anything, and then you can just roll.
So they sell those at Princess Auto, don't they?
Dual drill?
Yeah, and their
trailers a lot of times are Ford.
I thought I saw some that had them that they were.
Oh, maybe I should look.
Yeah,
because I know a lot of trailer tires are Ford bolt pattern.
Yeah,
so it doesn't work for me.
Yeah,
but so anyways, go down there, look at it. Basically, I was buying it no matter what. The frame wasn't rotted, and it was a car.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything fancy by any means, but it was what I wanted. And so we loaded floor jack, cordless impact, cash, set of wheels and tires, and some lug nuts, and you're there. So I guess if you had a trailer, you could do the same-ish thing, but a tow truck is just so much handier to
Well,
have.
if we had to go get the trailer first, then go, it would have been another hour. Like, we had the whole thing done and home within, like, we got there right at 9 o'clock. We were home by like 9:45.
Yeah, and
we didn't take up any of the nice man's
I
time.
tried to meet the guy at like 8:30, but he was not going to be there yet. He had posted while he was at home. He's like, well, I'm not going to be there till 9. I said, well, I'll be there at 9. And I showed up there, and he was actually he was right in front of us at the gate even, because it was at the buzz in. He's like, oh yeah, just go out there. So went in, gave him the money, looked at the car, and he was a good guy though, I'm sure. And he even said, he's like, you know what, I've had people asking, but I'm a man of my word. Like, he could have made an extra $1,000. And
now car karma will find him.
it will. And you know what? I mean, I think he's happy too, because he had bought it for his old man or something like that, and then his old man didn't want it, so he kind of liked it. He's like, I'm not going to take on a project like this. They ended up buying a Chevy truck. They had a really nice 72 Chevy truck, which they had bought instead to work on. So they just kind of did that. But there you go, a little car karma. It comes back to everybody. But that's how you buy a car. Now, also, so I looked at this thing, and again, you guys will see the video and all that, but I didn't haggle on the price. I didn't say one thing, because I knew I'm talking to this guy, and you got to kind of be aware as to what's going. Do you like how I didn't do that proper? Is it driving you nuts?
Only a bit.
I only do it 50% of the time on purpose. Yeah. So anyways, the price was right. I didn't haggle, because I'm going back and forth with him on the messages, and I knew, because I know how I am. If someone says something to me to piss me off, I'm done with this guy.
Yeah.
You know, like, they go, oh, this isn't very nice, or, you know, I've seen them cheaper, or then go find something cheaper, because I knew someone was going to pay that price, and it might as well be me.
Calling something down, in my opinion, you don't get a better price. The guy knows what the car is like, and you know what it's like. It's like I've had people trying to sell people things. They go this and that, and they go, oh, it's a standard. It says in the ad it's a standard. Well, I wanted an automatic. Well, then clearly you shouldn't have got out of bed this morning, you idiot. But it's, well, you know, if you look at it and it's got a dent in it, it goes, well, it's got a dent in it. Well, clearly it's got a dent in it. Does that make a difference? Is it a $500 dent? You know, like,
I mean, if the only thing I can do is if it's being represented as one thing and it is another. Yeah. And you show up and you're like, well, you said it was a running car and now it's not running. Yeah. Well, that's very different.
Yeah. It's a running car. Well, it ran about 2 years ago.
Yeah. And the battery's dead and it got 3 flats.
Yeah.
Or the pictures, and I've seen that, where the pictures are not of the car today. Yeah. It's like a dating profile. Yeah. And those are your best 3 pictures, ma'am, not the reality pictures. But, so anyway, I go look at the thing and it was good. And for me, I mean, again, it was $2,500, and spoiler, it was a 2-door hardtop. I don't care what you are, 2-door hardtop, anything for $2,500 with a valid title around these parts, you buy it. You just do. So it was what it was. What was the next thing I wanted to talk about?
Well, the other thing too is, like, so we made sure, like, we brought bills of sale, we brought a pen, like,
all that stuff. Yeah.
Everything to make it as quick and easy for the person selling, I think, will make them want to sell it to you more. Because you're being considerate of their time, you're being considerate of, like, that it is their property and at one point they wanted it and loved it. Like, so I think if you can be as understanding from their perspective as well, and, like, that goes a long way.
And some people honestly don't know what to do. They just know, well, I need to sell this, and what do I have to put on a bill of sale, and, you know, where's the registration form, and, you know, all those sort of things. So people like that, they're happy that you know what they're doing, because at least somebody does, that type of thing. So
it's like the Boy Scout of buying junky hot rods.
Well, most of the stuff that you buy, you can pretty much tell walking up to the car that you're going to buy it or not. Now, there's always the, like you say, well, you look underneath, all of a sudden the frame is rotted out. Well, you maybe can't tell that. But even so, as you walk up to something, you can kind of get a pretty good feel for that. And also where it is, you know, is it sitting in the driveway? Is it whatever? Like, I always say the best thing if you're buying a car, you're buying a newer car, like a driver car, you know, you want to buy we bought a Dodge minivan because we needed a minivan. And right beside it was the guy's brand new Dodge minivan.
Yeah.
So the story is, of course, as always, the dealer would give him $1.98 for his minivan, and he thought he could do better.
Yeah.
And there it was. So he just walked up, no, that's fine, and
Well,
there you go.
And that being said, so we sold the Cobra, and a big selling feature of that Cobra was, not I didn't do it, but the book of Cobra stuff.
Yeah.
And that being said, now that we are selling cars, I'm terrible at keeping track of stuff, but I luckily have this YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I mean, any car we're selling, it has been, I mean, I don't hide nothing. It is what it is. If you're surprised after buying one of my cars, you didn't do the research.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel bad at all. I always, here's the link, here's the this, you know.
Yeah.
Can I get more pictures? How about a playlist?
Yeah, here
You
it
know?
is.
And if
Fill
you-
your boots. Spend the next 3 hours looking at
Look
everything
at-
in the...
And watch the ads.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
But that actually brings me to my next thing. So, I've seen it a little bit. This is actually what I want to talk about. I forgot about was YouTubers ruining the hobby. And
Oh, them's fighting words.
Oh,
The comments. It's going to be bad.
it's well, and you know, so here it is. I understand, but so maybe I'm overpaying for cars because in all reality, I'm going to buy the car and I can sell it for whatever the next guy can. But I also have the added benefit of getting, you know, YouTube money, which, you know, it's a curse, I guess. So now, you know, I technically could afford to pay a little bit more than a car is worth, but I do have the Mur gene, which doesn't allow that to happen. I have to get a deal. I can't overpay. I just my little plaid heart that Mur genetically gave me can't handle it. So there is that. And so my defense to that, anybody can have a YouTube channel. So if that bugs you, you can't beat them, join them, start yourself a YouTube channel and start generating some funds.
I also think it's not like you're going in and saying to the guy, like, if he's like, oh, I actually have an offer, you don't go, well, I'll pay you
No.
like $500 more than that guy is. You don't do that. And I think a lot of YouTubers don't do that. They just pay what people are asking, which is what everybody wants when they're selling a car, is you put up an asking price because that's what you're hoping to get for it. And if you're serious about the car, then you pay what the man wants for it or what the woman wants for it. So if you want to try to haggle it, go for it. And I get that that's part of the fun for some people, but then you have to understand that that person might not want to do the haggling and wait for somebody who will just pay them their asking price.
Well, that's
So
reality.
as a seller, that's your favorite thing, is to get your asking price. So is that ruining the hobby, or is it valuing the work that people have put into their car and giving them what they've asked for?
Danielle, YouTubers are ruining the world. But on the flip side, now this is the way I see it, and I think that we're actually, you know, YouTube people are doing more to keep the hobby alive than ever before. Like, Cletus is a perfect example. He bought that racetrack. Did you see that Amelia Hartford
Yeah, it's
is
like
trying to make Willow Springs for
Yeah.
$2.5 million bucks?
Is she going to do it? I heard
I don't know. All I saw was that video. Man, that was a rough Manitoba roads here.
Yeah.
She's going to do everything she can to try and make it happen. And, you know, the alternative is, I don't know what that all entails of that racetrack, but if it's for sale, I mean, it's going to be bought by somebody, or it might just go to business.
Yeah.
And if she can get there and bring events to it and do all those sort of things and keeps that racetrack alive for people that A, want to use it or whatever it may be,
And it doesn't turn into condos.
Yeah.
then good for her, you know? And same thing, you know, people have been, you know, mad at me that I'm raising the price of 4-door Tri-5 Chevys because people realize you can turn them into 2-doors. Which, yes, I think I probably have done that. A lot of people send me pictures that they are converting those cars. But I also feel as though there's people now that always wanted a Tri-5 Chevy, like myself, and couldn't afford one, and now they can. So it's a double-edged sword.
YouTubers bring value to things that maybe could not survive. Like, have you read about the Newcomb's Ranch thing that they always
No.
talk about? Like Matt Farah and those guys, and it's on the on the track they go. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it's nice roads going up to it. It was an old farm in California and was going to go out of business because, that was it. But it's in the middle of nowhere and it's weather detained. Like if it snows, you can't get there. Mm-hmm. But one of the people that goes there, they've been going there Friday mornings, and they bring donuts. It's the middle of nowhere, no cell service, but a lot of the high-end YouTube people are going there with the Porsches and Ferraris and all that stuff. So they're, one of the people there is looking like they're going to be able to get it and put it into a legitimate business and use it for like podcasting. Yeah, a whole system. He's a media background thing.
Well, the camera dropped dead again, right in the middle of Mur talking about how amazing all of us YouTubers were.
Amazing.
And then we were driving around a little more and, we'll cool the camera up. And this thing started just lightly pinging a little bit. So I thought, you know what? Let's come home. We put the camera in the freezer, actually, for a short amount of time. And then Mur can give us his spiel on how good we are, wherever you left off.
Well, just about the Newcomb's Ranch thing in California, and it's a fellow that's going to reopen it and make it sort of for YouTubes and for maybe manufacturers to do presentations and stuff. And it sounds like a really great idea. It's too far away. It's, I think it's like an hour away from Los Angeles, but it's a really nice wooded area. Completely isolated, and it's going to be saved by this guy and all the YouTubers that come there, and they'll be able to shoot pictures there. It's quiet. It sounds like a great idea. So YouTubers are good for the most part.
Well, and but there's been stuff like this happening forever. I mean, like this old house. Mm-hmm. How many people, like you live in this old house?
I live in this old house.
As much as you'd like to do to it, financially doesn't make sense. But if Mike Holmes showed up, or Norm Abram, or Bob Vila, it might be a different story. And I think that's where, I don't want to say it's jealousy, but I think you just got to look at both sides and realize that, some of these things, they're a bad business. Flipping used cars is a bad business. Flipping used cars, you end up buying flipper cars, which are put together with sheet metal screws and fiberglass, not proper metalwork and all that. And who I was just talking to? My buddy Josh is working on a guy's car. It's a Chevy 2, just like kind of Danny's. It's a wagon, and the guy bought all the parts for it to put like a independent front suspension on it, but like heights or I don't know what the name is. But anyways, it's like they're bolt on. Yeah. Right. It's the same idea. And he's going through it, and the car was built years ago, and it looks nice, but he is right now going through, because the guy's paying him by the hour to work on this thing. How far do you go? And the guy has to be accepting of that too, where the whole front end's apart, and one of the, in the firewall where those down bars bolted, right? Well, one was rotten, and you don't know that until it comes apart.
Take it all apart, yeah.
So, and that being a subframe or subframe car, it has 6 pieces of metal sandwiched together and all that. So he cut it all out, put in some, 8th plate, welded to all the stuff, and then drilled it and did all these things, and it works good. But now, so he did that. But now you're going down like the rockers. He's like, I can see there's fiberglass in these rockers, but it's painted. But on the underside where it wraps under, you can see where the cloth has been
wrapped around. Yeah.
And he tells the guy how far do you want to go? This isn't going to be a weld a patch this big. It's going to be rockers, and rockers are structural, and and it had a 4-link ladder bar put in at some point, and it was an old race car, so clearly it's made the test of time. But I would have to assume it's stick welded together and
or brazed and stuff like that.
Those are the cars out there that look nice on the top, it sounds good, had a healthy little small block in it, and I don't think that guy got taken. I think he knew what he was buying, but I'm just saying that's the flipper car mentality versus me putting in floor pans and doing this and that. There's no money in that.
I just can't envision paying somebody to do the kind of job that you do. If I could do it myself, I wouldn't have that, because man, that's got to add up. Because you know how long it takes to do a seemingly mindless little sort of a thing, and if you're paying somebody, they're not doing it for $10 an hour. Yeah, that's just what it costs.
Well, and while we were waiting for the car to cool off, or the camera to cool off, showing him the new hot rod. It needs a lot of metal. It's not driving tomorrow, and I think it'll need $5,000 or $6,000 worth of sheet metal. And I gotta think to put $5,000 or $6,000 of sheet metal in it, even at $50 an hour, at least doubling that, at least, if not triple.
Yeah.
Like I think if you dropped that car off at a body shop and wanted it back in primer, I bet you'd have a $60,000 bill.
Yeah. If you could find somebody that would do it.
In 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Because that just doesn't happen now.
So there you go. That's the benefits of us YouTubers.
But YouTube is very beneficial for just about everything in sight. Like I had a friend over for coffee this morning, and she was at her daughter-in-law's house, and they live in Alberta. And
It's fine.
that's fine. And her husband, nice guy, not a handy person, and the house needed some work. So her and her daughter-in-law, neither of which are qualified carpenters, just says, well, this is falling down, got to be a way around that. Fire up the YouTube, and they go, well, that's it. So they said, for better or worse, they did it. Won't say it was great, but the problem was fixed. So there you go. And before YouTube, you would never do that.
Well, you'd have to find your local Mur.
You'd have to find your local Mur.
Well, not everybody has a local Mur. Not everybody has, somebody that is a carpenter in the family or was into hot rods or whatever. So YouTube's great. I use YouTube for lots of stuff if I don't know the answer to things.
Yeah. Well, the internet is marvelous. I get quite perturbed when I can't find anything, no matter how obscure, and it's not there. Say, what do you mean there's not a wiring diagram immediately at hand for my 1975 Bricklin made in New Brunswick
For 2
that
years.
they made for 2 years?
They made 3,000
by a bunch of people who fish for a living. What do you mean it's not just there? So
Well, let's get into the Bricklin. So people are kind of asking. We actually should do a update video on that. We should get out there because Mur's actually been like feverishly working at things. Which, speaking of YouTube, stuff that is terrible for YouTube, like to make a video about it would be boring. Like you're doing, like I did all the fun stuff, made it run, made the doors work, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you're like tracking down, like making the speedometer work or whatever.
Well, I spent 3 hours trying to figure out how to get the headlights to work, the vacuum and all the systems and all that kind of stuff. So I figured out.
That's.
Well, but YouTube came to it again because they're all vacuum operated, so you need a source of vacuum, which means you have to have the engine running, and we don't want to do that because it's not ready to have that done. But a fellow on the internet said, well, you just use a vacuum pump, which I have for air conditioning. And so it sits there and produces vacuum, and, got some of my rubber tubes and figured it out. And
where I had that pair of vice grips, was that doing anything with those?
It was blocking those two hoses off.
Because it ran like crap, and then I clamped those and ran better, I think.
Yeah.
Or did I just?
It was just a vacuum leak. That's all. But no, it's interesting. For those who don't know, a 1975 Bricklin uses a Corvette system for the disappearing headlights. So, and then I don't mean a Corvette-like system. I mean it's a Corvette. It's, except for the actual headlight doors themselves, because they have a single headlight and Corvettes have two. But the switch is the same, and this vacuum switch you have to get is the same.
Well, and I think while you're loving working on the Bricklin, because he'll go out work for 3 hours and he gives me a call and says, I need this part. And then I order it and it shows up. So it's a system. He was working away at the front drive, and I need this alternator and this whatever.
Voltage regulator.
So I bought that. Then I gotta say, same day, it came on Monday, and by Monday night you had it on and it's charging now, right?
Yeah.
So charging. And so at this point now, the water pump, alternator, and crank are all in line.
Yeah.
Right? So technically, it could run, charge, and cool.
Technically. Well, there's no fan on it now because I took the fan off. I'm going to put an electric fan on.
But there you go. So you've got that sourced out. Got all the miscellaneous crap that was off of it.
Yeah. So now we have to build some kind of bracketry to put a power steering pump back on it. And best guess is it will steer. And then it should be able to go in and out. And last Thursday, actually, a buddy came over. We took off the trunk, tailgate hatch, whatever you want to call it, to see how it's put together. And really, it should be a simple task, except you also have to take the doors off both sides, which is going to be definitely heavy and ugly. But I can see how it was put together. And so we're making progress. I've got most of the electrical things working now. Wipers work now, all that stuff. Got to work on the radio. The blower motor works. I know the motor is good, but the switch, more diagnosis.
Stuff like that. And I dropped off some seats I had that you can dye and make fit, so that's good. So it's getting down to be kind of nitty gritty. I mean, it needs mechanical on the front end and brakes just to make them all work, but it might be fine for all we know.
Yeah.
And was there? Have you played with the doors? Is there more air leaks?
I found the leak, and
but the whole system leaks down.
No, so, just the left door.
No, but if you leave it, doesn't the system lose over?
Yeah, but it's from the left door. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So
I would have thought that ram, if it goes up, you would have been able to disconnect it. But if you do that, it just drops.
No, because it's pressurized and it leaks at the bottom. So.
But doesn't it have to go through that solenoid?
Yeah.
So wouldn't solenoid back be different than solenoid forward?
Well, I don't know.
Well, I guess we'll find out in the next episode.
All I can do is I checked it with soapy water and I could see the leak, and it's at the very bottom of one of the rams. So I had to, I tried to fix it by just putting some schmooey on it, but it was hard to get to. Didn't work. So I'm going to have to take it off, which will be very easy when the doors are off.
Because it's just a pull pin or whatever, right?
Well, I got that working. They have the emergency release thing that in case you got stuck in it, which you could easily do, and they were rusted solid, but I had WD-40 and let it soak, and they work. So it'll.
You use soapy water to find the leak.
Pressure, if compressed air, blow bubbles. Like when you were a kid, you had the little thing to blow bubbles. You just spray soapy water on it, it makes bubbles, and that's where your leak is.
It's like finding a tire leak.
Yeah, like a tire leak or something like that. So I know where it is. There's a lot of things I find I know now what's broken or what doesn't leak or doesn't work, but not everything is fixed yet. But we're working towards it.
The other thing, so I found on eBay, but the headlights. So they work with this little vacuum solenoid.
They call it a vacuum solenoid, which is a weird thing because it's not electrical. It's 100% vacuum, but yeah.
But when you want to order it, it comes in a 2-pack because Corvettes use 2, and the Bricklin uses un.
Yeah.
So I searched around and found one on eBay, and it was a rip-off, but I think it was $40 American.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got that coming. It should be here by the 10th or something like that. But it looks like it's just 3 vacuum lines that go in, and
4.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
It should be able to.
It's a real simple system. Like the headlight switch is an ordinary GM headlight switch with a little piece stuck on the bottom that has 2 vacuum hoses on it. So when you pull the lights on, it allows vacuum to it, and when you shut it off, it shuts vacuum off. It
was very strange because as I'm under there, I'm like, it's got a vacuum leak, and the car's running like shit, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's the headlights, so I will vice grip the headlights off to make the car run better, knowing that Mur was going to fix that in the end.
Well, once I get it all operational I think I'm going to change every piece of vacuum line on there because it's been rather...
Find out what size you want. I'll just get a couple of rolls off Amazon because, that's whatever. And same thing, I want to order a 4-barrel intake for that thing for you. And I have a 4-barrel carburetor, so I'll give you that. And you can actually... Ford, you don't got to pull the distributor, right, to change an intake?
It doesn't go through it, but I mean, it might be one of those things that might be just as easy to.
So you can take that,
take it out, and do.
So you want to show us your tool of the? Is that where we're at? Is that where the point we're at? The tool of the
tool of the day.
All right, Mur.
Okay, we have 2 things, but open the hood of the Nomad.
The problem with the hood of the Nomad. Actually,
Well, you get any 12-volt battery. You can use this one. Use the Nova.
Well, the broom's out here.
Yeah, I just didn't have a hood prop, but I didn't know it was out here. We couldn't open the door because we had to hide.
What a piece of art that is.
Just watch your... Look how good this motor looks, Danielle. Why don't you show that again? We haven't...
It's nice.
It's very nice. It's actually... And this thing's now probably got 500 miles on it since I've...
Yeah, it looks...
Of which you've been part of half.
Half.
Okay, so what are we looking at?
Okay, what are we looking at is this. This is a test light. Now, what do you notice immediately about the test light different than the one that you have?
There is no ground.
There is no wire on it. It is a wireless test light. So, how does it work, you may well ask?
It's fake. It's a magician prop.
No.
There's a watch battery in it.
Could happen. No. What it's designed to do is use your body as the return ground. So if I touch the negative terminal with my hand...
Oh.
Hear that?
So now, how do you know if you have a bad ground? What if your hand's dirty? Is that what the next thing is for?
Yes, that's right.
So now, what if you're...
Now this is... It's...
Oh, we have a badge round.
Yeah.
Well, it did it anyways.
Yeah, it reads the impedance in your body, so it's getting a little bit just through your body, but to do it accurately, you should touch a good ground. Now, it reads...
something you shouldn't be wearing jewelry while doing?
No.
12 volts.
This will read 3 to 25 volts, and it doesn't have any provision to show how much is going through there. So it's not good if you're trying to find something that maybe it has 7 volts, which causes you a problem. This is nice when you're inside the car doing dashboard and stuff like that, where you don't have to have wires all over the place. You can just grab the frame with your one hand, and you can probe for power.
Does it work
the other.
backwards like a test light?
No.
No.
The other thing that's nice is it also doesn't produce any power, so you could work on an airbag system or something like that. If you hook up a 12-volt test light backwards, you'd have to be an idiot to do this, and probe the airbag, it'll blow your head off. So yeah, that's just another one of those safety things. But it's just a fast, speedy way to check if you're looking at doing radio.
Just yes, no for power.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, no, and that's about it.
Or if you're like just checking fuses or
yeah,
something, blown fuse.
That's
or
right.
something
Yeah,
very
it's
easy.
just it's really super quick and not in the way and stuff like that. So
Where
it's
could you find something like that?
from the nice Amazonian people for
Yeah, I might buy one of
about
these.
$25, I think, something like that. So it's not, you don't use it every time. It's
Made
just
in
one of those
Canada,
things.
This one.
Really?
Oh.
Who knows? Okay. The second one, this is the cheap tools. He likes
I like it. I'm buying one.
Okay.
I think it's better than a can opener.
No. Hey, so people are still writing in they like the can opener.
Tell Murray they like the can opener. Jeez.
Well, when I did that, I thought, I wasn't sure this is a good idea, but I thought it might piss you off, and that's always a good idea,
All right.
as it turns out.
Put that soap in your mouth.
Okay, so this is the next cheap things for people to buy. This is like under, I think, $7. This is Fast Orange in a bar. And you can buy Fast Orange in the pump, which is what I usually use like in the tool room and stuff like that. But this is something you can take to the shower with you or just wash your hands, and this works really, really well. And it's really, really cheap. This is, I think, $3.50, lasts virtually forever, and can get all the stuff off your arms when you're all mucky, and it works really good. And you can get
the
it.
hose out. We can give you only Murs.
Yeah, please. And going along with that is
his favorite nail brush.
I did buy you one, and you probably lost it long since. This came from the nice Lee Valley people, and this is what they use in operating rooms for scrubbing, because it's just nylon, very small, but it gets underneath your fingernails, cleans all the goo out, so you don't look like you've been mucking around with your hot rod all day when you want to go out and cook people dinner. Because some people, not these people, but some people take offense.
Standards.
Yeah, when I'm cooking steak, if I got grease under my fingernails or something like that.
So he has his surgical.
My surgical thing there.
I can already hear all the people in the comments be like, Dan needs that, Dan needs that. He has so much of it.
He just doesn't use it.
Doesn't use it.
Yeah. But these are like, I don't know, a couple of bucks. You can buy them, at least in Canada, at the Lee Valley store, like a 10-pack for something. So
Probably get that on Amazon.
give them to your friends. Maybe, I don't know. It's a Lee Valley thing. So there's the tool of the day, so to speak.
Well, there you go, Mur.
Are you impressed?
I am impressed. It's starting to rain, though.
Oh, can't help
If
that.
you have to walk home, you might as well start. Well, there you have it. So, to circle back, people on YouTube are fantastic.
Yep.
That's basically right from Mur.
We like YouTube people.
So there you go. If you're cranky about YouTube, get on it. And I think everybody should get a YouTube channel. You should have one. Oh, Danielle has something to say.
No, keep going.
Oh, well, you did this.
Just go.
That's all I got. I think I'm going to say thank you very much for
I
watching,
was
and
just
check
gonna
out
say,
Danny's shirt.
Put the good car karma into the world so that you might receive good car karma.
Well, and that's your own personal belief. If you have to win every single little battle or whatever it is, I think you'll lose the war type thing. And for me, many a time it's not worth it. I mean, I've had the model for a long time now, and I probably got to re-look at it. But if $100 makes the problem go away, I just spend the $100. And it's probably, with inflation, $250.
Yeah, it probably is.
But it's one of those things where it's just not worth getting your panties in a bunch over kind of the little stuff. And well, I guess it's probably $500 because that's what I gambled on that car today.
Yeah.
If $500 makes the problem go away, where you get the item or you whatever it is. I mean, and $500 is a lot of money, but a couple $100 or $100, someone screws up with something, or you get, it's not worth losing a friendship over or crap like that over
And
$100.
$100 isn't what it once was.
No, it's
one
nothing.
time $100 was really a lot of money, and now it seems like you can't go to Safeway without spending $100. So there you go.
Yeah, so little stuff like that. What was that? Anyways, on that note, this thing actually, when you're done that Bricklin, this has all sorts of little items that need taken care of.
I fixed the glove compartment already. What more
Glove
do you want?
compartment. While we were driving, that was fantastic. Fuel gauge doesn't work, so you got to deal. The radio doesn't work. The air conditioning isn't on there. Maybe you can put that on. And like all the little switches for the seat. Because it has the power seat works, but we can't put it up to let Danny know the back easy. So, anyways, when you want to drive this thing for a few days, I'll give you a list of what it needs.
And get on it.
And you and Mom could go cruising. You'll look good. Or you and Dave, whoever you want. I mean, I'm not here to judge. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe below if you wouldn't mind.
Visit ddSpeedShop.ca.
ddSpeedShop.ca.
And buy a shirt, even from Australia, eh?
New Zealand, we're worldwide now, baby.
Wow.
And we're wasting that money on cars. And then this, I'm buying one. I'll just take this one, actually. It's way cheaper. See you on the next one.